Hey gardeners, welcome back to Orange Vibe, my garden in Portland, Oregon. It's finally cool enough to spend some time making a video. It's been too hot for me the last few weeks, but finally we have a beautiful late summer day, September 22nd, and the asters are blooming. Give you an overview of what I've accomplished in the back garden this summer. A lot of new plants, and some plants have been removed. We have all new windows and doors. Used to have a hose bib right there, but now we have this. Very convenient. Don't have to bend down. And the plan is to have a new deck in this area linking the old deck with the new primary bedroom slider. So had to get that hose bib out of there. This rhododendron was here when we moved in, and I think I'll let it bloom in spring and then remove it. Planted a new oak tree by this old stump. This is the valley oak from the Central Valley of California, Quercus lobata, and it's decided to grow a whole bunch now in late summer, which is interesting. I've moved all of my junk that I don't know what to do with. It was way over there under the big Sitka spruce. That was kind of unsightly, so I put it all over here. And there were 3 big sword fern, our native fern in the northwest, Polystichum unitum. There are 3 in here. Had to get those out of the way for the window and door project, so one of them went right here. This one's looking great. And here's a new tree to shade the house in the afternoon, Perodia persica vanessa. So Vanessa is somewhat more narrow and upright than the typical Perodia persica. This arborvitae was in front when we moved in. I moved it back here. Fuchsias just go and go and go until the frost knocks them down. Here's another one of the ferns transplanted. It's a lot sunnier here, so this one isn't as happy. A new southern magnolia, Bracken's brown beauty. My calycanthus has grown a tremendous amount this late summer. It grew a little bit in spring, then took a break, and then just took off again. Little fig here. Hybrid magnolia here called Fairy White. This is another Perodia persica called J.L. columnar, and it hasn't done anything. I think its trade name is Persian Spire, but it grew 0 this year. Not very impressed with that. I've got this umbrella back here because this northwest corner has proven to be a lot sunnier and a lot hotter than I was expecting. And I stupidly planted a Hydrangea macrophylla, Oregon Pride, and so this is keeping that from turning crispy. I'll definitely be moving that hydrangea this winter. The other arborvitae transplanted from the front. Bay laurel. The plan is to cut all of the neighbors' Portugal laurels and this big Norway maple back to the plane of the fence, so all of the things I'm planting here will have more sun to fill in a little better. This is where I had breakfast and coffee, right by this New York aster that I got from a friend in Dallas, Oregon when I was living there. So I don't know the identification, but wow, just spectacular. Don't know that I've ever seen a more densely flowered aster than this one. Here's a canna I moved from the last garden, and of course with some soil from the last garden. And so these volunteer tomatoes sprouted in the soil. So I let them grow. I've gotten a couple off of here, but I don't know. September 22nd, we'll see if anything else ripens. On the tour, pardon my French, Clematis otophora. And when the flowers are pollinated, you get these big, dramatic seed heads. They get a lot bigger than this. And then they get silvery and fluffy like other clematis. But this is such a sweet little flower. Tomatoes did okay this year. We had a lot of blossom end rot. I didn't really amend the soil very much, so I guess we got to get a lot more calcium in there for next year. This is the paste tomato, San Marzano, and they're like a quarter of the size they should be, and every single one has some blossom end rot. But wow, do they taste good. I think the blossom end rot might make them sweeter and more flavorful, but they just don't get very big. This manzanita called Red Ribbons did great this year. Grew a ton and still growing. Agave ovatifolia, frosty blue. This will be a bit of a experiment this winter to see if it's happy enough with the drainage and the rainfall. There's several growing happily in other parts of the neighborhood that are very big, but it's possible they have amended the soil with a lot of gravel. This is just native soil, but I did mound it up as far as I could. It looks like I'm gonna get at least one flower on my pomegranate. This thing is growing vigorously late in the season. Oh, this holly. I think this holly put on over 2 feet of growth. Hescomensis. Ilex aquifolium hescomensis. And it looks prickly, but it's not. Very, very soft. All right. Witch hazel's grown a ton. Chinese pistachio is growing a ton. A little bit of a wonky branch pattern, but that's kind of what they do when they're young. Fuchsia cardinal bloomed great in spring, then absolutely hated the hot weather in midsummer and quit, and now it's back doing its thing again, as is Fuchsia golden herald. Canna Australia, taller than me. My neighbor has been growing this willow oak in a container for years, and she finally decided that she didn't want it anymore. Too big of a tree for her yard. But as you know, nothing is too big for me. So I planted it here to shade the house in the morning. So this Sitka, there's a lot of things I love about it. The birds absolutely adore it. And of course the shade is wonderful. But the roots up against my foundation. And this is the only access to the backyard. And so you immediately come in and you've got these huge above ground roots. Makes it super hard to walk through this area and almost impossible to roll a wheelbarrow. So this would be an expensive removal, but the plan is for it to eventually go away, and then the willow oak can take over in this area. This rose has been blooming periodically through the summer. I think it might be Etoile de Hollande, an old climber, very fragrant. Another tree that I added to shade the house in the morning, Kentucky coffee tree, and this is the seedless male cultivar Espresso, which proved very hard to find, but then I finally found one at Farmington Gardens. Got my first load of tree mulch from Chip Drop, and that's mostly been distributed. It's so moldy that it's really affecting my lungs. I'm trying to find my property marker out here. No luck yet. Here's a recent addition. Dwarf plumbago. Seems pretty happy here. Hebe, Carol Goldenesque on the other hand, hates it here. Don't really know what's going on. Might be dogs peeing on it. Other than that, I'm not really sure. So this is something that the squirrels do here around all my new plantings every single day. So I have to go around and tuck the mulch back up under my plants every morning. And the front garden. California fuchsia. Sorry about the glare, pretty intense. Pelargonium Sidoides. Brand new aster called Days Blue. Another California fuchsia. Sotol has grown a lot this year. The new Ajuga called Catlin's Giant. A new Camellia. The squirrels have been a nightmare for my manzanitas, chewing off branches here and there, so I'm trying harder to protect them with contraptions like this. That one's hanging in there, but it used to have more branches than that. This one was almost completely eliminated, and now bugs are chewing on it. That's what happens. Plant gets weak, and everybody gangs up on it. Camellia's doing well. Again, we had all the windows replaced, so haven't done anything in the foundation plantings because we had to keep that area clear. Hydrangea Little Honey has survived the heat of the summer, which isn't always guaranteed with this one. Got a new little Hinoki called Confucius to complement the Little Honey. A new tree here, kind of splitting the difference between the big Austrian pine and the big hemlock, is persimmon. Now I've tried to taste persimmon fruit several times and just not a fan, so I didn't plant this so much to eat the fruit, but the fruit is beautiful. Large orange, like large tomatoes, and then it has very handsome foliage, glossy, and then it gets a really good fall color. So persimmon makes a great ornamental even if you can't warm up to the fruit like me. So I'm gradually eliminating all the grass in front here. Not very much left, and the Austrian pine is contributing by dropping a lot of pine straw, helping me smother the grass for more planting area. I planted 2 Japanese forest grass in the ground and then this one in the pot. One of them in the ground up and died, and the other one is just barely hanging on. I've grown these a lot in the past, but I guess I never really internalized that they don't really like shade very much, and they burn in the sun. So it's kind of a tricky one where you want partial sun in order for them to be happy and grow, but not hot afternoon sun that will brown them. All right, I'll bring this one to an end. If you guys have any questions, post comments. My wife is telling me to remind you guys to like and subscribe and comment. And if you have any gardening questions about your own endeavors, I'll be happy to answer questions. So that's all from Orange Vibe. See you next time.